From our studio located in Madison, New Jersey, this is Real Good News.
I'm like the man they call a seeker. I'm a real truth speaker, and I always cut right to the core. And you know I really ask, cause I get right to the facts and get the answer to what I'm looking for. I can pronto peg a lie, I'm a tireless and quiet. I've been a theorist thinker since my youth. My motive's on above ground. I've always been a bloodhound for the truth. The truth. You can lie, you can run, but the truth is like...
Hi everyone, and welcome to Real Good News. I'm Kate Cherichello Tente, and I am so happy to be your host for this episode. I'm also host of Healthy in the Garden State, a new show streaming on YouTube highlighting the many ways New Jersey supports healthier living. With insights, information, and inspiration, we explore parks, trails, wellness centers, and speak with health experts of all kinds across New Jersey. But today, I get to share some of our great stories happening right here in our local neighborhoods, and I can't wait to get started. In this episode, Diane brings us a story from New Providence where a small idea at a local church has grown into something that's feeding both bodies and spirits. Then, Steve Lubetkin joins us with an interview about prescription drug importation and what it could mean for American families. We'll also check in with Tommy Nonamaker, who's kicking off his coverage of the New York Jets this season with interview highlights from head coach Aaron Glenn. And later, Alan Swanson investigates what every parent, athlete, and school district should know about synthetic field turf and the growing questions around safety and long-term health risks. But first, here are your good news stories for the week of August 17th. On August 8th, Madison got a close-up view of movie making as crews from Netflix transformed the intersection of Greenwood Avenue and Britton Street into the scene of a dramatic T-bone collision. The stunt was part of filming for the upcoming production Little Brother. Crews began early with cameras rolling from 7 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. For much of the day, traffic was detoured around the area, but residents still had access to their homes. Curious onlookers stopped to watch as the production team prepared, rehearsed, and then carried out the high-impact scene. Our regular contributor, Andrew Dutton, was there to capture it all and share it with us. His footage shows the work that goes into creating a convincing on-screen crash, from positioning the vehicles to coordinating the timing to the moment of impact itself. Andrew's ongoing support helps us bring stories like this to Real Good News, and we thank him for giving us this inside look at a day when Hollywood came to Madison. Speaking of movies, the New Jersey Comedy Film Festival comes to the Sparta Avenue stage on Saturday, September 6th, and Mortenveld Productions will be there. Mortenveld Productions, the team behind the local news program Real Good News, also creates award-winning short films, including My Roommate Dan, which will be featured in Block C, the Homeground New Jersey Filmmakers Showcase. The festival is a one-day event featuring 4 blocks of comedy films, from shorts to features, plus live stand-up to kick off each block. Genres range from slapstick and romantic comedy to mockumentary, political satire, and more. Block C, where My Roommate Dan will screen, runs from 4 to 6 p.m. It's a great chance to support local filmmakers, enjoy a good laugh, and see why this film has been earning recognition on the festival circuit. This fall, Union County students have a chance to try something new and maybe discover a lifelong passion through a wide variety of 4-H clubs. From cooking, gardening, and photography to robotics, archery, and community service, these monthly gatherings give young people hands-on experience, guided by caring mentors who help build skills, leadership, and confidence. Open to students from first grade through 1 year after high school, the program is supported by Rutgers Cooperative Extension and the Union County Board of Commissioners. Clubs run from October through June, and registration is now open. Morris County will mark Overdose Awareness Day on Thursday, August 28th with a ceremony at One Medical Drive in Morris Plains. The event begins at 10 in the morning with families invited to arrive earlier to view memorial banners honoring loved ones lost to substance use and fentanyl poisoning. Organized by the Morris County Division of Community and Behavioral Health Services, along with law enforcement and local recovery groups, the gathering is both a remembrance and a call to action, raising awareness and reducing the stigma surrounding addiction. It's a moment for the community to come together, support one another, and honor those who are gone but never forgotten. Summit officials have temporarily closed the 3rd and 4th levels of the tier garage after a structural inspection found water damage and deterioration on the upper deck. The lower 2 levels remain open and safe for public parking, so visitors can still use the garage when coming downtown. There's just no access to the top floors for now. City engineers are working on a plan to address the damage, and once repairs are scheduled, more information will be shared with the community. In the meantime, officials are reminding drivers there's still plenty of parking available in other downtown lots and on-street spaces. Our next story takes us to New Providence, where a small idea at a local church has grown into something that's feeding both bodies and spirits. Diane sat down with Kate Forbes, one of the people behind the program, to learn how it started and the difference it's making.
Thank you, Kate. Drive-Thru Dinners is a monthly program that provides free, freshly prepared meals to residents of New Providence and the surrounding communities. The meals are available to anyone, whether you are having a rough day, trying to make ends meet, or simply don't have time to cook. There is no financial requirement to participate. Each month on a Wednesday, volunteers prepare the dinners in the church kitchen and distribute them that same day. Volunteers can help in 3 shifts: prep from 2 to 3, cooking from 3 to 5 p.m., and serving and cleaning up from 5 to 7 p.m. You can choose 1 shift, 2, or all 3. Here in the kitchen of the New Providence Presbyterian Church, the work begins long before the first meal is served. On prep day, the counters are covered with ingredients, recipe cards, and well-worn cutting boards. Volunteers gather, some in aprons, others in gloves, each person ready to chop, stir, and plate. The sound of conversation mixes with the hum of ovens, the clatter of pans, and the laughter of people who've done this together many times before. And at the center of it all is Kate Forbes. She learned to cook from her mother, who taught her how to feed a crowd, whether it was a youth club dinner or a mission trip in Mexico serving hundreds. And that experience comes in handy here today. Kate plans each month's menu with care, making sure it's hearty, family-friendly, and able to be prepared over 2 days. She considers everything: how it will reheat, whether it needs the oven or the stovetop, or how it will hold up in a takeout container, and, of course, how it will taste. This ministry began with an idea from a few members of the church's deacons team, whose mission is to care for both the congregation and the wider community. They knew some of their neighbors were struggling to put meals on the table, but they also understood that walking into a church for a free meal could also feel intimidating or even embarrassing. Kate offered a different vision: a drive-through dinner. Guests could pull up to the back of the church where the kitchen is located, receive a meal, and drive off with dignity and privacy. No one would need to get out of their car, and no one would feel on display. That first night, the team was nervous. Would anyone come? Would the food be enough? They decided on 25 family-sized meals and 30 individual portions, each with 2 options so people could choose what they liked. And slowly, the cars began to arrive. The relief in the kitchen was almost as warm as the food leaving it. And since then, drive-through dinners have become a regular event. Some guests are familiar faces, like the group of seniors who call ahead each month to ask about the menu, and then arrive together for a warm greeting and a hug. Others are new, finding their way here for the first time, but every month, each brings moments that stick in Kate's heart. She remembers when those seniors told her the meal they shared from the church was the first time they'd eaten together in years. She remembers the young mom with the toddler in the back seat, tears in her eyes, telling Kate that because of this dinner, she could spend her evening focusing on her little one instead of rushing to cook. The church supports the program with prayer, funding, and when possible, helping hands. Volunteers sign up to shop for groceries, prepare the meals, serve them, and stay to clean up after. Weekday events can be hard to staff, so Kate and her team are considering weekend prep days to make it easier for more people to join in. Out in the parking lot, each interaction is brief, just long enough to pass a container through an open window, share a smile, and offer a kind word. But those small exchanges add up. For some, this may be the only hot meal they get that day. For others, it's a reminder that they've not forgotten. Inside these walls, it's more than cooking. It's about connection. It's about making sure no one in this community has to choose between a full plate and their pride. And as long as there's a need, the kitchen and the drive-thru will stay open.
Thanks, Diane. And we'll be looking forward to more from you on that story in a future episode. Right now, we're so pleased to welcome Steve Lebetkin from State Broadcast News. Steve spoke with Ken Hunter, Executive Director of the Campaign for Personal Prescription Importation. They're working to protect the right of Americans to import prescription medications from Canada, a move that can mean big savings compared to U.S. prices. Steve, over to you.
Thanks, Kate, and hello from State Broadcast News in Cherry Hill. I'm Steve Lebetkin. One of the biggest costs that consumers of healthcare in the United States face is the cost for prescription drugs. Tens of millions of Americans, especially the elderly and people on fixed incomes, struggle to pay the extremely high price of prescription medications in the U.S. And if you want to know who's opposing these efforts, well, you would guess right if you said Big Pharma. They're trying to get the highest price possible from American consumers. Now there's an advocacy group called the Campaign for Personal Prescription Importation, or CPPI. It's a nonprofit patient advocacy group headquartered in New Jersey, believe it or not, that's fighting for Americans' continued access to safe, affordable prescription medications, particularly from Canada, for personal use. Why Canada? Canada has a very similar oversight process through Health Canada, similar to what the Food and Drug Administration does here. And also these drugs are often made in the same factories as the U.S. versions. The only differences are usually the packaging, in English and possibly in French, but the same product otherwise. Joining us to talk about it is Ken Hunter. Ken is the Executive Director of the Campaign for Personal Prescription Importation. And Ken is a longtime friend and a longtime veteran of the public relations, communications, and marketing community here in New Jersey. He has a particular personal experience with the challenge of buying prescription drugs when a doctor prescribed an expensive brand name medicine for one of his daughters. Ken, welcome to the program. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
So tell us a little bit about the campaign and how you got involved in it, what your experience was buying drugs for your daughter.
Sure. Well, the Campaign for Personal Prescription Importation has been around for about 10 years. It's a national nonprofit, and our focus is on preserving the ability for Americans to buy lower-cost prescription drugs from Canada. We have over 130,000 members of CPPI, and all these people are buying their drugs from Canada purposely to save money. And they can be very significant savings.
So maybe give me some examples of the difference in price for typical prescription medications in the U.S. versus obtaining them from a Canadian pharmacy.
Well, I'm right in the process of doing our annual study into this, so I can give you some of the numbers that were recently from our last one. First off, keep in mind the types of conditions people have that will often order from Canadian pharmacies. Might be things such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, very common maladies. So some of the drugs that they might use, for instance, EpiPen. If you use GoodRx to purchase it here in the United States from a pharmacy, it costs $592. If you bought it through Amazon Pharmacy, $621. But from a Canadian pharmacy, it would be $126, and that's for a 3-month supply. So you can see very significant savings right there. For Xarelto, which is a blood thinner, name brand blood thinner, GoodRx, it would be about $1,600 for 3 months. Through Amazon Pharmacy, $1,576, and through Canadian pharmacies, $457. So you can see just with those 2 drugs alone, if you were taking those, that's a significant savings that you would be looking at. And also, it's probably important to note, we at CPPI do a survey of our members and others every couple of years to see how much money do they save over the course of a year by purchasing prescriptions through Canadian pharmacies. And it's about $4,960 per person. So when you think of somebody that's on a fixed income, senior citizens, people that may be underinsured or uninsured, that is a huge amount of money. So that's why we feel there's a very important need for us to really keep up our awareness and our fight to be able to preserve the right to buy prescriptions from Canada.
Now, just to underscore for people listening, it is currently legal, and it has been for some time, for Americans to purchase prescriptions for personal use from Canada.
For personal use, this is something the FDA allows. If you're going up, and this has been happening for decades, even well before the internet. So in Canada, people that lived along the border, for instance, Seattle, Detroit, for decades, they have gone across the border to purchase their medicines from Canadian pharmacies. The only difference is now with the internet, they're able to do this online, and it's a lot easier. And plus, it allows people all over the U.S. to now be able to do it.
Is there any indication that this might be curtailed in some way?
No, there's not an indication for that. We've also been working with legislation in D.C. to help preserve this right as well. And there are several bills that are going through the House right now and in the Senate that will go and help really solidify this. However, this is a practice that's been going on for decades, and it's also been very safe. It depends on which online pharmacy you may use. And there are certain guidelines that we suggest at CPPI you look for.
Now, that was going to be my next question. How do you find an online pharmacy in Canada, and how do you know that it's legitimate and also prescribing safe medications?
Yes, with Canadian pharmacies, you do want to check them out before you decide that, yes, I will do my business with a particular pharmacy. There are trade associations that will go and vet and have, as their membership base, legitimate pharmacies. One that we work with, or at least recommend, is the Canadian International Pharmacy Association, which you can go on to their website, be able to see a list of more than 50 online pharmacies. And you can just go on, click on them, do price comparisons. But what they all have in common is 100% safety record. That's what we look for if we're going to refer anybody to a particular organization. However, they handle their vetting process, and it's not something that we're involved in. However, you can always look to see, is a pharmacy that you're looking to do business with on their list. And I believe they are at CIPA.com. And also on our website, we have a link where you can go and find Canadian pharmacies that have been vetted and, follow all the restrictions and things that are needed to be a legit pharmacy.
And that website is?
Personalimportation.org.
What's the benefit, Ken, for people interested in getting more information about CPPI? You have a membership option, sort of like a membership association. What do people get from that?
if you become a member, first of all, you'll get our regular communication. And that's important nowadays. There, lots of talk about things such as tariffs. Will tariffs go and affect drug prices? And will I be able to order from Canada? So what we do is really cut through all the noise, give whatever the latest updates are. We'll also note, is there any legislation that our members may be interested in following? Also, we serve as a resource for media. For instance, how you and I are talking, just kind of multiply that out across all 50 states. We're there as a resource. We also do research. I referenced this study that we do every year or every year and a half about how much people are saving on drugs each year by buying through Canada. So we really serve as a voice for the people that are users of Canadian pharmaceuticals and want to save money.
Well, it's an interesting aspect of the healthcare issues facing Americans. And Ken Hunter, Executive Director of the Campaign for Personal Prescription Importation, or CPPI. Thanks for being with us on the program today.
Well, thanks, Steve. Great to talk with you.
And that will do it for us here at State Broadcast News in Cherry Hill. I'm Steve Lubetkin. Kate, back to you.
Around here, the New York Jets aren't just any football team. With their headquarters right next door in Florham Park, they are Morris County's hometown team. We're excited to kick off our coverage with Tommy Nonemaker, who will be following all of his usual local coverage, plus his reporting on the Jets all season long, and bringing us the latest from the field and beyond. Tommy, take it away.
Thank you, Kate. Local high school football is back, and the countdown to kickoff has officially begun. Practices for all area teams started this week on Monday, August 11th, and excitement is building for opening night under the lights on Friday, September 5th. One of the must-watch matchups, Madison High School takes on Hanover Park in a battle that is sure to draw a big crowd. Parsippany Hills will square off against Mendham, while Parsippany High hits the road to take on Boonton. And in Summit, the home team will take on Montgomery. The stage is set, the rivalries are heating up, and Friday nights are about to get a whole lot brighter. Good luck to all our local teams this fall. In football news, the New Jersey sports community is mourning the loss of a true legend, Coach Gary Gallagher. Known for his decades of leadership and success, passed away just a few weeks ago. Gallagher made his mark coaching the Crusaders at Morris Catholic and later the Montville High School football team, earning the respect of players, peers, and fans alike. He leaves behind a legacy of dedication, mentorship, and love for the game. Our thoughts and deepest condolences go out to his family, friends, and the countless athletes whose lives he touched. In education news, the Parsippany Troy Hills Board of Education bid farewell to longtime member Anthony Chofo at his final meeting in July. Chofo served as board president in 2024 and was elected vice president in 2025. Though his term runs through 2027, he is stepping down, and the search for his replacement is now underway. We thank Andy for his years of service and leadership in shaping our community's schools, and we wish him the very best in his next chapter. And now, for some New York Jets news. Justin Fields is turning heads at Jets camp, not with flash, but with something even more important: composure. Head coach Aaron Glenn described him as a very mature man, someone who doesn't ride the heights of the lows. The coach called him Steady Eddie, a quarterback who stays even, keeps working, and never lets the moment get too big. That's rare, Glenn says, not just in football, but in life. Let's go to head coach Aaron Glenn to hear it in his own words.
I'm going to say this again. He is a very mature man. And for the 15th, 16th, or 17th time, I expect that out of him. So nothing changes with that guy. I'm just telling you right now, he's always going to be Steady Eddie. And nothing takes him too high, nothing takes him too low. I mean, he just stays above board and continue to work. And that's the good thing about him. That's the trait that you don't see with a lot of people in general. But for a quarterback to have that trait, it is outstanding. Because it doesn't matter. You know, whatever happens, man, he's going to continue to work.
When it comes to his play, Fields is showing growth. Glenn pointed out that fans may be looking for the deep ball, but Fields is making the right reads, checking down when he needs to, and progressing through the offense the way a quarterback should. In other words, he's doing the job the right way. Methodical, smart, and consistent.
He's progressing. He's progressing. That's what he's doing. He's being a quarterback. I know everybody wants to see the long ball, but he's progressing. That's as simple as I can answer that question.
The message from the Jets is clear. Justin Fields is not about the flash. He's about progress, maturity, and the kind of steady leadership this team believes in. And it's not just Justin Fields making an impression. Coach Aaron Glenn also took a moment to spotlight linebacker Brandon B. Smitty Smith. Glenn says Smith has been standing out since OTAs, improving every day and pushing the veterans to raise their game. Here's what he had to say.
B. Smitty, I mean, he's been doing that since OTAs also. You know, it's nothing new. That's the one guy I probably haven't talked about enough. But, I mean, I like where he's at, and he's steady improving on a daily basis. So, listen, it's good when your younger guys, all right, are showing up, because now it pushes the older guys that they got to get going, because this is going to be a team of the bestest guys going to be here and the guys that fit us.
And on that note, Real Good News is excited to announce that we will henceforth be bringing you the exclusive and groundbreaking New York Jets coverage on a local level. I'll be your guy for all things New York Jets, and I am so excited for this upcoming season. Back to you, Kate.
Morris County has been named one of the top 25 healthiest communities in America by U.S. News & World Report, coming in at number 16 nationwide. This is the 6th year in a row the county has earned a top 25 spot. The ranking highlights Morris County's high scores in population health, education, economy, food and nutrition, and public safety. Leaders credit the county's large park system, excellent schools, strong local economy, and access to quality health care for keeping residents healthy and active. County Commissioner Director Christine Myers says the ranking reflects decades of work to make Morris County a great place to live, with hundreds of miles of trails, open space, and a strong sense of community. Morris County joins a short list of New Jersey counties recognized in the report, alongside Hunterdon, Bergen, and Somerset. For more details, visit morriscountynj.gov. Speaking of health, Healthy in the Garden State released episode 2 featuring Jersey Shore Running Club, Cave Bistro, Nourish to Heal, and more. Our mission with this show is to help you live your healthiest life here in New Jersey. Episodes are released monthly on YouTube, and in between, we've just begun a set of minisodes, interviews with health experts across the state, all in 15 minutes or less. In the most recent episode of Healthy in the Garden State, we talk about the power of community in working out, how to get started running, or even walking with a run club, what is clean eating and where to find healthy options in restaurants, and I got to visit with a dietitian who taught me how to make a delicious healthy granola bar. Here's a snippet of the episode.
So Nicole, tell me about what we are making here today.
Well, I thought a great example would be our superfood granola bars. They're something you could make at home. We have them at Nourish to Heal, but you could also make them at home and add your own variety of ingredients. But I have some fun stuff added in that have a bunch of nutritional benefits and thought they might be tasty and fun thing to make.
Oh, yes, let's get going. All right, what do we do first?
Great. Well, we use sun butter here. You could use peanut butter, almond butter, anything that you might desire. We're allergy friendly, so sun butter is nice. It's made out of sunflower seeds, and it works well for anyone that might have a nut allergy.
Oh, great, great.
Instead of using sugar, we use maple syrup. It's unrefined, it's less processed, easier for our body to use. And
it smells good too.
And then we're gonna add a little bit of vanilla.
Okay.
Just for fun. Extra taste without the calories. A little bit of salt. And we have some cinnamon.
I love cinnamon.
Oh, it's a wonderful antioxidant, helps for lowering blood sugar, and why not? Everyone loves it, gives it that homey feeling. And then we're going to add, this is a hemp protein powder.
Okay.
So it works well for any number of diets that you may have. It's vegan, so if someone has a vegetarian lifestyle, it's plant-based, it's high in fiber, and it's considered a complete protein. So it's just kind of a nice fuel to add to the dish.
What influences what you put on your menu here at Nourish to Heal?
Well, we like to use real food. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's not about necessarily that it's the lowest in calories, it's the biggest bang for your buck. You know, what's going to give us the most health benefit in whatever ingredient that we add and closest to nature.
Great answer. Well, this is looking good.
Right, cool. Well, we're going to add some of our dry ingredients now.
Okay.
So now we have the messy part. So add some gloves so we can get to it. We're going to add some oats.
Okay.
Just these are great for helping to lower blood pressure, blood sugar, fiber, plus some added bulk. And then we're going to add, just for fun today, we'll add some walnuts.
Love that.
These are great for your brain and your heart health, omega-3s.
You know, it's funny, I have to admit, whenever I go to grab walnuts, I think, good for my brain, good for my brain.
They kind of look like little brains when you look. If you were to cut a walnut in half, it looks like a little brain.
It is, it's great for you.
We love dark cocoa. So these are dark chocolate chips, but they're baking chips, so they really don't have sugar in them at all.
Oh, wow.
And they're wonderful because antioxidants,
Yes.
they're good for your heart, and you know, it's a powerhouse.
Nice.
As well as, I love pepitas. So these are pumpkin seeds, allergy friendly, so you know, they're not a nut. They're wonderful for a lot of different people, so we often use pepitas. We toast them sometimes. These are raw. They give a nice little crunch.
Yes.
And then raisins. These are Thompson's raisins. They're organic. They're extra sweet, but they just give a little energy boost without having to add sugar.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so now we get into the messy part. We're gonna really mix this up.
I know Nourish to Heal also does a lot of giving back. Can you share a little bit more about what you do?
Well, we've been working with our local food pantry. We work with our local church. We donate food as much as we can to anyone that we hear of that's in need in our community. Every month we feed a group of seniors that, you know, we're lucky to be able to continue doing post-pandemic and continuing our efforts. And a lot of our customers are supportive of us, and they actually donate by buying a meal, a community meal for somebody, and then we donate to someone in our community.
Oh, that's excellent. That is excellent. The term clean eating gets thrown around a lot these days, but I think that some people do get confused by what it really means. Can you just expand on it a bit more for us?
Honestly, there is not a true definition of clean eating. So it does leave a lot of room for interpretation. I view clean eating as eating real food. And we talked about a little earlier, is eating food that's closer to coming from the earth or from the planet or from an animal. And we try to eliminate additives and a lot of processed ingredients or foods that last a really long time, because we're using foods that are real, so you know, they have a shelf life oftentimes. And having less processed ingredients is really our goal. Our last step here, we've got it kind of rolled out, but we're going to actually use a rolling pin.
Okay. Well, this looks amazing, and then we just add a little coconut on top and we're done?
We're good to try. Yeah, we can give it a little taste. Sometimes I put it in the fridge for a little bit and then cut it into pieces that work well for whether we're headed out to a sports game and before practice, or maybe a breakfast or lunchtime, midday snack.
And with the chocolate,
Our next episode premieres September 11th, and we are talking all things preventive health. Get all the details at healthyinthegardenstate.com. And now our main attraction. Alan Swanson has been looking into what every parent, athlete, and school district should know about field turf. It's on school fields, playgrounds, and in parks across the country. But behind the bright green surface, there are growing questions about safety and long-term health risks. Here is his report.
Over the past year, I referred to the studies that tell us about toxic chemicals contained in all the plastic we use. I've brought up the dangers of using plastic for food storage and in the microwave. I've mentioned the studies showing that plastic is in our brains. I've brought up the studies showing plastic recycling does not work and never will work. Today, I want to focus on a growing plastic product concern, and that is synthetic turf playing fields. These fields are cropping up everywhere, and somehow many people think they're just great. Let's look at a couple of facts related to these fields. Turf fields are made from a combination of synthetic materials, such as plastic, rubber, and who knows what chemicals. The materials used on these fields are not regulated, so chemical composition of the materials used are not published. In most states, there are no warnings about the use of these fields. Speaking of warnings, let's take a look at some warning signs you might find on synthetic fields. In Westport, Connecticut, this warning sign appears on synthetic fields. It says things like, wash hands and exposed body aggressively after playing on fields. Turn clothes inside out as soon as possible to avoid tracking dust to other locations. Keep your containers closed to prevent any dust or fibers getting into your beverages. Doesn't sound that safe to me. Here's another warning sign, a heat warning sign. It warns that the surface of a synthetic field can be dangerously hot on warm, sunny days. In fact, studies have found that temperatures can reach over 150 degrees. That's one reason why they say, don't go on these fields in bare feet. Having seen these warnings, you might take some precautions, but don't look for any warning signs on any fields in New Jersey. They are not required. What you will see in New Jersey are all kinds of restrictions listed on signs to prevent damage to the fields. For example, the Madison Recreation Center field has the following sign. Note that the restrictions and warnings are all designed to prevent you, the user of the field, from harming the field. There is no warning that the materials used to create the field might be harmful to those who use it. Another example is the sign at the Lum Field near the Lum School and the Chatham Police Department. Nothing but water is permitted. You don't want any stains from any grape juice on those plastic fields. Don't plan on sitting during your child's soccer games. No chairs. And no umbrellas. If you reach down with your hand and your fingers at the Lum Field, this is what you pick up. As with many topics, the lines have been drawn between those who are concerned about the environment, health, climate change, and those making money from the production of products that are, at a minimum, questionable in terms of safety. I could continue, but I think it is better to provide you with advice from the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. They identify the following tips for safety on artificial turf surfaces. Here are a few. Avoid use on very hot days. Monitor young children to prevent accidental ingestion. Always wear shoes on artificial turf. And wash your hands before eating or drinking or adjusting your mouth guard if you're playing a sport where you need it. Clean cuts and abrasions immediately. Brush your hair thoroughly after you use these. Remove your shoes and your clothing so that you don't track any into your car and into your house. Shower immediately playing. Vacuum up anything infill that comes into your house. It's endless. Here's the most important one. Post a safety warning outside the field that includes tips for safer play. That shouldn't be so hard to do. I'm going to ask my town to do it. In other words, as I have always say, become informed. Don't listen to the hype in such terms as safe and green and eco-friendly. The bottom line is, know the dangers in your environment, and remember, only you can keep yourself and your family safe. I'm Alan Swanson. Thank you for watching.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Real Good News, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode, airing on September 7th. Until then, I'm Kate Cherichello Tente, reminding you that real good news is worth sharing.
Now, Allah is halfway around the world. For the truth can put on its pants. Tell the truth. So my mission without fail is helping you prevail. You got to give the truth a fighting chance. Tell the truth. Beauty is truth, truth is beauty, and it's my civic duty to always find a reality. More than love, money, fame, more than rip on your good name.
Let me tell you something else about the truth. It will
Set you free on the road to truth you take. There's only two mistakes. Don't